In the last video, I worked on the timber part of the Jakobs Loot Chest. In this video, I'll be doing the metal trim, the struts, the cutouts for the glass, and the faux rivets. To match the concept art, I could have had the angle iron face out like this, but if you're familiar with the feeling of kicking your toes on angle iron, then you'll know why I decided against this. For the edges, I'm using 25 by 25 angle iron. I was originally planning on using 40 by 40 to match the concept art a bit better, but at the time I couldn't really afford it. I cut the corners at 45 degrees, pre-drilled 2 holes in each length of angle, and pilot hole the wood beneath. These screws will be pulled into the timber frame of the box. I'm using some flat bar for the hinge area, marking out where the hinges go, then cutting out sections for the hinges to fit. Buffed back the surfaces that will be welded, then welded up the corners, throwing hot sparks all over my build. I used 25mm flat bar for all the uprights that aren't on a corner, and for the straps that go up and over the lid. Before I can add the metal border to the lid of the box, I first had to figure out what I was going to use for the green light up pieces. I have a heap of these jars and these lids looked perfect. Figured out where I wanted them to go, also needed to change where these screws go. The top piece was easy to cut out because I hadn't already welded it in place, but this bottom piece on the other hand is going to be a bit harder. The angle grinder and rotary tool did a good job though. To fill in the hollows, I used some aluminium foil, then a 2-part steel epoxy putty. Once it had dried, I then cleaned up the surface with the rotary tool. For the indent in the top section, I used the trim router. I took the angle iron off for this so it wasn't in the way. And this is where the build started to go downhill. The foil was great for stopping the sparks, but the heat of the welds kept catching the box on fire, so I had to come up with a different idea. For the smaller parts that I couldn't attach with screws, I used epoxy. I did not feel good about doing this. It feels cheap and crappy. I don't know, I kind of wish I built the metal frame first, then added the timber after everything was welded up. Oh well, moving on. For the metal border, I am marking out some battle damage, scoring it with a fine cutting disc on the angle grinder, then cleaning it up with some small files. Moving on to the struts. I bought 2 200 Newton struts, which is a bit of an overkill, but at least I know the lid isn't going to come down and smash anyone's fingers. It might fly up and knock out some teeth on the way, but at least our fingers will be safe. I added another length of timber to the sides for the struts to mount to. By this point, the chest is starting to get quite heavy, so I made some small handles. I ripped a length of 35 by 70, planed it smooth, ends cut at 45, then mounted them from the inside. Before I brought it inside, I gave it a coat of Merbau Stain. 1 part stain and 1 part water. I really like this colour. Moving on to the faux rivets. I'm using a flexible polymer clay, pressing out some circles for consistency and size, rolling them into a ball, cupping them in my palm, and pressing a hole in the centre. This hole will fit over the screw heads. After they are baked, lightly sand the back, mix up some epoxy, then attach all the rivets. I ended up taking back the struts and swapping them for 2 100 Newton struts instead. This allows the lid to rest shut under its own weight and also holds itself open while it's up. With the other struts, I had to leave weights on the lid to keep it down. In part 3, I will go over the steps in making the sign on the top of the box. Mine is going to say Irons instead of Jakobs, but I will get into that in the next video.